Welcome to the Pen Leader Podcast, where strategic leaders get straight to the topics, strengthening our awareness and sharpening our minds. The Pen Leader Podcast is produced by Roar, a production division of Mays & Associates Ltd. Find out more at www.maysassociatesltd.com. Now here is your award-winning host, Dr. Shanda Gore.
And welcome to the Pen Leader Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about educating for the future. And I have with me today Dr. Denise McCory, who is the president of the Metropolitan Campus of Cuyahoga Community College, which is part of and known as Tri-C. She is an experienced educator and administrator. Dr. McCory has worked in higher education for more than 25 years in positions ranging from K through 12 program administration to Dean of Students and Dean of Academic Affairs. She holds a bachelor's in English from Ohio University, a master's in adult learning and development from Cleveland State, a master's in English teaching, and a certificate in college writing from BGSU, and a doctorate in higher education leadership from Walden University. She has done so many things for several years. She's chaired the executive board of the American Council on Education, Women's Network Ohio, which I was also part of, and she was part of my leadership, so it's near and dear to me, and an organization that, again, supports the development and advancement of women in higher education. She is a peer reviewer for the Higher Learning Commission, and she has served on various local and national boards, including the Campus District Executive Board, Positive Education Program Board of Directors, and the National Council on Student Development. Denise is a graduate of the Leadership Cleveland's class of 2023, and her recognitions are so many, but some of them include the Phenomenal Woman of the Year Award. I totally agree with that. And Kaleidoscope Magazine's 40 Under 40. So without further ado, welcome, Denise.
Thank you, Shanda. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. First, I want to say, it is amazing to watch your career and how you have really moved in the spaces, especially in leadership and higher education and community college. Can you talk about your position now and what that looks like within the Tri-C for those that are listening and don't know what Tri-C is?
Great. Well, again, thank you for the opportunity to talk about myself and most importantly, Tri-C and the great work that we're doing in the greater Cleveland community. So my position as campus president of the Metropolitan Campus is to oversee the academic and the student services mission of the college at my particular campus, as well as attending to the needs of our local community. And to give you some context, my campus sits in Cleveland proper, whereas the other campuses, we have a total of 4 that span Cuyahoga County, and they are in the suburban areas of the county. But we're all about 20 minutes from Cleveland. So my campus is the first campus. I call it the flagship. We opened in 1969. The college opened in 1963. We serve about 4,000 students. So we have about 800 employees on my campus. We are a comprehensive community college. So we offer everything from GED and prep to get into college or get into kind of the higher ed of post-secondary realm, all the way to a bachelor's degree at this point. We have started our first bachelor's in integrated manufacturing this past fall. So we are really excited to get into that realm of serving the community. My campus hosts the Creative Arts Hub for the institution, our manufacturing and technology hub for the institution. I have the most workforce programs that take place in our Advanced Technology Training Center and our manufacturing center on campus. We host the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame archives. Those live on my campus.
Fantastic.
We also have a couple of early college high schools. We've got a lot going on at the Metro campus, but we are just one campus of Tri-C's very large footprint, multiple campuses, multiple learning centers and opportunities throughout Cuyahoga County.
And I understand Tri-C is the oldest in the state?
We are the oldest in the state, yes.
Yeah.
We are the oldest, and we argue back and forth with our friends in Columbus about a size as well. But there are 22 community colleges in Ohio. but we do have students who come to us from all 88 counties in Ohio at least, and then numerous states across the US. We offer a ton of non-credit courses and workforce training. So those institutes that I talked about with manufacturing technology and advanced technology training, a lot of that curriculum is for people who are trying to upskill within their organizations. Under that umbrella, we just created an entrepreneurship academy that came out of a need based on this uprising in the gig economy where everyone, especially since COVID, wants to be their own boss, right? You saw lots of businesses pop up everywhere. So we saw it as an opportunity to help those business owners be successful by equipping them with the skills that they need to run their businesses effectively.
We have so many listeners who are sole proprietors, entrepreneurs themselves, and then trying to just make a way, right? So some of them have been in business for a number of years, but others who have just started. And it sounds like, again, you are providing a service an educational opportunity for people to really start off on the right foot. I think going beyond, sometimes people participate in programs where it's like 2 weeks long or 3 weeks long and they give materials out. But this is also something that, again, tied to the work that you're doing there with individuals who have been entrepreneurs themselves and are out there helping this program. So I have an entrepreneurship certificate and e-commerce, and I just think it's so very important to have, those skills and education that goes with them.
Absolutely. We also have 10,000 small businesses. So it's a program that is funded by Goldman Sachs. So we work with small businesses. They have to hit certain thresholds in terms of revenue and employees to be able to qualify for the program. But it's for businesses that aren't quite there yet. They haven't maximized their growth and their revenue potential. So they're looking for a little bit of a boost. So it's like an incubator, really, to try out new ideas to grow. And we just celebrated our 1,000th graduate from the Goldman Sachs Small Business Enterprise. So we're really excited about all of the different ways that we serve the community.
You're urbanly placed and you have outreach in the community. I think that's sometimes a missed opportunity for some urban universities, that you have this opportunity to work and support the local area. And it shows in the work that you're doing, because you have more than 27,000 students, I think, that looking at Tri-C overall. So you're doing something right. So I'm going to switch gears with you and talk about your specific leadership style. Again, bringing others in and getting them to the next level. Can you talk about your leadership philosophy? How has it evolved over your career in higher education?
So you mentioned in my bio that I have been working in higher education for over 25 years. When I hear that, and then I think of like a quarter of a century, like I cannot believe that it's been that long. But it's been a fun journey. But the overwhelming majority of that time has been spent here at Tri-C. So I pretty much grew up at this organization, came into the organization as an administrative assistant back in the early 2000s, and found a lot of different opportunities to move throughout the organization since then, before coming to this role, which I've been in for 6 years. So over the years and seeing the organization from different perspectives has been very valuable and has been very informative of my leadership style. So what I've learned firstly is that you can lead from anywhere, and leadership is not necessarily an artifact of position. It's really about influence and what you're contributing to your role and to the organization that you're in. So as I look back on my journey through Tri-C, no matter if I was working directly in student service, helping students onboard in the institution, working in academic affairs as dean of instruction, or working in student affairs doing student conduct,
Mm-hmm.
all of that, I find that my leadership style has really been one of just kind of speaking up when I see something out of place or if something needs improvement. I think I've always been one to be proactive and take notice of opportunities. Having a growth mindset has been something that has served me well. And I think being able to navigate the politics has been something that I find to be very important. But I think in terms of my personal leadership style, very collaborative, very inclusive. You will find me rolling up my sleeves and working in the enrollment center if needed, helping out doing campus tours for new student orientation if that's needed. So very on ground. I like to be plugged into what's happening, which is why I decided to start teaching, because I said that's this big knowledge gap for me, is to understand students' experience in the classroom. I had a great deal of experience in student affairs, understanding their experience in student services and the student life aspects of the organization, but really needed an understanding of the in-classroom experience. So I said, okay, I need to go back to school and get get another degree so that I could be able to teach English, which is what I do part-time. So I do my daytime gig and then walk across campus in the evening, and that is the highlight of my day. And I will tell you that students don't care if you're the campus president; they will give it to you. If they are not
That's right.
they are not having the experience that they feel like they came here for, you will certainly find out about it. And then, being able to have conversations with faculty about their experiences and in some cases kind of commiserating, like, wow, we got to do better. That has been very valuable and has informed my leadership style as well. But you won't always find me sitting at the head of a table. I certainly have the belief that you should not be the smartest person in the room. And just because you may have what seemed to be, a higher level leadership role in that space, everyone around the table is around that table for a reason, and giving them space to be able to share their insight, to be able to leverage their expertise, that makes us better as a team. And it really makes me glow as a as a leader. So
It makes you
that's
look
my
good.
style.
It makes you look good too. We talk about pins and being sharp, having the education and the experience to go with it. And the most effective leaders have that. You are obviously seeking, you're a lifelong learner. You're going back. You say, you know what? I've got a little bit of a gap here. I want to go back, get a certificate in this, get a master's degree, another master's. You didn't have to. You have your doctorate, but you said, I want to learn more. And then I want to have a different experience so I can speak the language of what teaching in the classroom is like. I myself taught for a number of years while being a senior administrator so that I could speak the language as well. There's no one who could say, well, you don't know what I'm talking about with classroom. No, I built curriculum and I taught it. And I helped with graduating. I sat on dissertation committees. I understood that and I could speak the language just like you said. And I think there adds to credibility, because those that don't, it's a little harder for them to concept around and understand the context of what you're talking about. The other piece I think you just said, when you talked about, and it sounded like you were pivoting too, like, you've done so much but you did not shy away from a pivot. I worked in this job. I worked over here on this other job. And as you grew within Tri-C, it sounds like you were able to pivot, and the politics, being able to understand and maneuver that's like a strategic plan, a personal plan of like, how do I move in a way that's positive, not only for myself, but actually for the students that I'm serving. So I hear that. And I think the other part that you're saying, there's a strong strength of character with you that you're doing, and you're living your truth, and you are doing what's best for students, which is that holistic approach, student services. And I think, unfortunately, sometimes that gets missed. So commend you on that. How do you support an adult learner who's thinking about like, I need to go back so I can close the gap on this, especially with there's a lot of conversation about AI and
Well, we actually have a high non-traditional student population. Our average age at Tracy is 28.
oh,
So
okay.
we're not talking about most times the straight out of high school student. And even if we are, our students tend to have a lot of responsibilities that mimic those of, older adults. And that includes having a family, being a support to a family, or maybe even a parent. Definitely lots of students with children. 30% of our students have children. So we have been very cognizant of our student population and trying to create an environment in which they can thrive. So a lot of that has to do with how we offer our educational products. So flexible learning options, we offer day, evening, weekend, hybrid classes, we offer online classes. So a lot of it has to do with how we actually have our offering set up to make it convenient. And just doesn't include the coursework, but that also includes our services. Like everyone else during the pandemic, we really had to figure out how to do what we do in a virtual way. Well, we've kept a lot of those practices, but we've also determined or discovered that a lot of our adult learners still want in-person hands-on support. So we have been slowly trying to look at data and see where demand is, an opportunity to ramp up our on-ground offerings for those students who need them. Also recognizing that the city of Cleveland is the second least digitally connected major city in the United States.
Mm.
So we have a lot of students who still do not have access to technology, maybe a cell phone, which, if you've tried to do anything significant on a cell phone in terms of writing and maybe LMS navigation, it's really challenging to do. And then that access to high-speed internet is a challenge as well. So we found that out during the pandemic, and it continues to be an issue. So we're really trying to be responsive to our community. We just began, my campus partnered with CHN Housing Partners to create a scholar house. We built a scholar house across the street from campus that support families. So students who have children
Mm-hmm.
live in the Scholar House, and they have access to wraparound services. They also have on-site daycare. So it's immediately across from campus. So students can drop their kids off right at daycare and walk across the street for their classes. So we
That's
started that
convenient.
about a year and a half ago, and we are really excited. We've had community colleges from across the country come and visit because they're interested in doing something similar, because this is not just our challenge, this is a challenge across the sector. So in terms of AI is, oh my goodness, it's moving faster than we can even ideate around it. But Dr. Baston, our CEO, who came to us a little over 3 years ago, he has a vision for ensuring that we are an AI ready institution. And that includes having a vision to have AI built into the curriculum. So our learning outcomes as an institution will have students significantly engage with AI and understand how to apply it in the real world. But also embedding it in every aspect of the institution, teaching and learning, which I just talked about, our student services. How can we use AI out in addition to chatbots and things like that we've already experimented with to enhance student services? We have a Center for the Future of Work, which is kind of a hub, a think tank comprised of faculty and others to help understand what work looks like in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know as well
Mm-hmm.
as I do that the work that we've been preparing students for is not what's coming around the
No,
corner.
no,
we,
not at
we
all.
and that center offers opportunities for our faculty to have externships where they can go into the community and get some experience working in the fields that are going to end up with our graduates, so that they know exactly how to prepare students for what's coming next. Faculty, because they're residential and they kind of live in the institution, don't get as much opportunity to have those experiences beyond what's happening in the walls of the institution. So Dr. Baston, as part of that Center for Future Work, really wanted externships to be an essential part of that, to make sure faculty are equipped to understand how we need to prepare students for their next move.
For those leaders that are listening right now, they're like, they may not be in higher education directly, but what you're talking about is also inherently positive for recruiting and retaining workforce for whatever company industry you're in, about looking at the individual, the employees holistically, looking at the workforce that's coming in, who could be coming, to making a change, a career change, coming through your classrooms, and having that, again, addressing family and children, and not ignoring that they exist or seeing that as a hindrance to somebody going to school, but as an opportunity to say, you have a place here and you can learn. And here we've actually got wraparound services for you so that you can be successful, whatever that is. So the next question I have, which I find is the most fun. What are you reading and what are you watching? Because you've been buried in books for a while.
So because I've been buried in books and do a lot of academic reading, and when I'm teaching, reading of papers and things like that, I'm just finishing up The Handmaid's Tale,
Okay.
season 6. I'm a huge Yellowstone fan with Kevin Costner. And it's interesting because I've been obsessed since watching that show with kind of the open plains and the mountains and all of that. And recently did a cross country train ride from Chicago to the West Coast and got to see kind of all that, the land and the wild horses, and it was absolutely amazing. So it dovetailed nicely with kind of my Yellowstone obsession. So those are the two things that I've been focusing on in terms of my free time. I like period pieces too. So part of it, especially in looking at the prequels, being able
Mm-hmm.
to see kind of how things happened in the period. So The Gilded Age is another show that I'm watching as well. So that's a period show. And when Downton Abbey was out, I was a fanatic over that too. So I kind of have a range of interests, but period shows and these days westerns and open range shows really have my attention.
Excellent. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and sharing your experiences.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes. And thank you to all our listeners and those that are sharing and liking the show. We appreciate you. Remember, if you have any feedback, please contact us at info@mazeassociatesltd.com. We'd also like to thank our sponsor, Jennifer Penzition, who is an Edward Jones financial advisor. She's fantastic. Thank you so much for your sponsorship. And don't forget to pick up the latest copy of the Pen Leader Path, which is identifying, engaging, developing effective human and AI leadership for your organizational culture. And you can find that and wherever books are sold online, as well as Amazon and Books A Million and Barnes & Noble. So until next time.
The Pen Leader podcast is hosted by Dr. Shanda Gore and brought to you by Maze & Associates LTD, creating customized solutions for growth in the areas of leadership development, strategic planning, and culture building. Find out more at www.mazeassociatesltd.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the Pen Leader podcast and share with others.